Good morning, Bimblers, and you join me here at Silverdale station. We've had a bimble round Silverdale before, but this is just our starting point today. We're off on a little Morecambe Bay adventure, so let's stop messing about. Let's get bimbling. Let's bimble.
Swept overboard. I'm with the wind's incision, cutting through, I'm overjoyed. Flowing with the storm's collision, the perfect choice. Moods can be lifted, the brighter the day. You take the blue skies and I'll take the grey. I surely would say she loves the. You can love the warm and that's okay. You can love the sun in every way. You can love the breeze and blow away. But she loves the rain. She loves the rain. It's made in perfect measures, dripping from a seal black sky. Perfect treasure, I know it's right. Moods can be lifted, the brighter the day. Take the blue skies and I'll take.
This is Wharton, and behind me is St Oswald's Church. We know all about St Oswald because we've done a bimble on it. St Oswald was King Oswald, the King of Northumbria, and that's where we are. We're in Lancashire. And the reason why there's so many churches called St Oswald's in Lancashire is because he spent most of his time spreading the word of Christianity. Legend has it that he was slain just off Winwick Road in Warrington. And where he was slain, a spring erupted with special healing powers. That's probably not true, but it's a nice story. In his honour, they built St Oswald's Church in the 12th century. And then they renovated it in the 15th and 16th century. And they renovated it another couple of times in the Victorian era. And the man that renovated it was friend of the channel, Edward Graham Paley. We've mentioned him a couple of times in previous bimbles. That would be my Walton and Daresbury bimble and my Heysham bimble. He actually tarted up St Oswald's a couple of times with his first partnership, Sharp and Paley, and his second partnership, Paley and Austin. But it's a Robert Washington that helped build the tower that's probably the most interesting character. And that's not due to Robert Washington being Robert Washington. That's due to Robert Washington being the cousin of George Washington, the first president of the United States of America. Apparently the Washington family originated from here in Wharton. And if you look at the family crest, you can see a lot of similarities between that and the Stars and Stripes, the flag of the United States of America. Their family crest features 3 stars and 2 stripes in white and red. So they only needed a bit of blue on it and it would have just been the Stars and Stripes. St Oswald's Church sometimes flies the flag of the United States of America. And that flag was given as a gift from the American soldiers during World War II. And that was because of Wharton's links to George Washington. But it wasn't the Washington family that built up Wharton. Wharton became a much bigger village at the beginning of the 20th century. And that was all because of a limestone quarry, which is up a big hill over there, called Wharton Crag. And I've promised myself that I'm going to climb up to the top and see if there's anywhere good to camp on a separate video. So let's leg bimble. Well, bimblers, my coat's off, my forehead is sweaty, and my cheeks are no doubt red. It can mean only one thing. I reached the top of Wharton Crag. Well, as far up to the top as I'm going today. I spied a few little hidey holes that might be appropriate for a bit of camping. So mission accomplished. But we've got to get back down there now. Pick up British Eagle, because there's bimbling to be done. Let's bimble back down. Before we leave Wharton, I should point out that over the road from St Oswald's is a 14th century ruined rectory. Try saying that without your false teeth in. Sounds like the setup for a joke in a carry-on film. Is that the 14th century ruined rectory? No, I always walk like that.
Perfect measures, dripping from a seal-black sky. Soaking up this perfect treasure, I know it's right. Moods can be lifted, the brighter the day. Take the blue skies and I'll take the grey. It's up to the weather, you know that I should.
This is Carnforth Station, and I feel like I should be talking a lot quicker and a lot posher, because this is where they filmed Brief Encounter in 1945. It was wrote by Noel Coward, and it was adapted from one of his plays called Still Life. And it starred Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard, and it was directed by a David Lean. He did Bridge Over the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia. The plot is basically a very near love affair between a married woman and a GP, and it all seems to centre around this station in Carnforth, or Milford Station as it's called in the film. The plot of the film is supposed to centre around London, but because the film was made in 1945, they couldn't actually film at train stations in London. That was because they were having blackouts, so all the train stations in London would have been in complete darkness, which is now good for making films. So they moved up here to Carnforth, where there were no blackouts, because it's a bit out of the way like. All the scenes filmed in the streets are actually filmed in London, and the famous sections where they're in the refreshment rooms were all filmed in a studio. They've actually made a mock-up refreshment rooms here, where I just got a can of Coke Zero and a packet of Lancashire crisps, which were delicious. On top of it being a working train station and the location that they filmed Brief Encounter, they also have the Brief Encounter Museum and a cinema that plays Brief Encounter 1,500 times a year. And it's all next door to somewhere that's full of steam trains and old Class 37 diesel locomotives. In fact, there's supposed to be a steam train coming through now. Everyone keeps thinking I'm a train spotter.
The wind's incision, cutting through, I'm overjoyed. Flowing with the storm's collision, the perfect choice. Moods can be lifted, the brighter the day. You take the blue skies and I'll take the grey. If it's up to the weather, you know that I surely would say she loves them. You can love the warm and that's okay. You can love the sun in every way. You can love the breeze and blow away. But she loves the rain. She loves them. She loves the rain. It's made in perfect measures, dripping from a seal black sky. Soaking up this perfect treasure, I know it's right. Moods can be lifted, the brighter the day. Take the blue skies and I'll take the grey. If it's up to the weather, you know that I surely would say she loves them. You can love the warm and that's okay. You can love the sun in every way. You can love the breeze and blow away. She loves the rain. She loves them. She loves the rain. You can love the warm and that's okay. You can love the sun in every way. You can love the breeze and blow away. But she loves the rain. She loves that. 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 She loves the rain.
Well, Bimblers, what a stunning day. I've had to put some suntan lotion on the top of my head so it doesn't get burnt. The sun is cracking the flags, and I'm here in Morecambe. But it hasn't always been called Morecambe. It wasn't officially called Morecambe until 1889, Before then it was just a group of hamlets and villages, and it was colloquially named Morecambe. In the census of 1831, anyone that lived in this area had to put themselves down as the exact location that they were in. All the little hamlets that existed around here, Hess Bank and Boltonley Sands. But in the census of 1841, they were allowed to put Morecambe. It was the Romans that named it Morecambe. In fact, they named the whole of the bay Morecambe Bay. They named it Morecambe Estuaris, and they described it as the fourth inlet above Wales. And if you think about it, it is. That's the River Dee, the River Mersey, the River Ribble, and as they seen it, that whole chunk that makes Morecambe Bay. That lumps in the River Wyre, the River Cocker, and the River Lune. Morecambe really came into its own in the Victorian era, like a lot of seaside towns in the northwest. And if Blackpool was the place that the mill workers of Lancashire all went to, well, Morecambe was that for the mill workers of Yorkshire. Even though it's in Lancashire, it was thanks to those brilliant rail links going through Carnforth Station. And because all the workers of Yorkshire used to come on holiday here, it became the place to retire for all the old people of Yorkshire. It actually got the nickname Bradford-on-Sea at one point, because there was that many people here from Yorkshire. Alan Bennett wrote a play about it called Sunset Over the Bay, which I've mentioned before in the previous Bimble, but you should go and watch it. It's on Amazon. It costs $1.99, but it's well worth a watch. If you want to know what Morecambe looked like in the 1970s, you've got to watch that. Morecambe's biggest export was this fella behind me, John Eric Bartholomew, or as you know him, Eric Morecambe. He was born at 21 Buxton Street here in Morecambe, and he became one half of the UK's biggest double act, Morecambe and Wise. They were like Ant and Dec, only funny. But it's not just Eric Morecambe that was from here. You've got Thora Hurd, she was from Morecambe. And if you come to Morecambe early enough on a weekday, you may well see the WBC heavyweight champion of the world running up and down the prom training. That would be Tyson Fury. And if you're watching Tyson, don't retire yet, because I want to watch you knock out of Anthony Joshua first.